Yeah, it looks great. Looks great.
Hey, so hey, thanks for having me, guys. I was looking forward to join this group sometime. I've been following closely all things ceramic and also all things Verifiable credentials. Although I mean I'm not a big expert in all the W3C specifications as such, but I am a big fan of all the use cases. So I've been to come together to put together something that brings both the DIDs and the off-chain management of ceramic, some kind of on-chain verification or credential registry, those credentials. So I made a few iterations. Basically, this is where I'm at right now. I'm going to show you guys. So it all starts, with a registry. So what Credit really is a app is allowing people to manage their data models in Ceramic, just as any other Ceramic app, and then register the credentials signed by other issuers using EIP 712 on chain, like on any Ethereum chain, right? So this is more or less what I'm thinking people will want to see, like in a landing page. Like, okay, maybe I already know a DID and I want to know if they are verified, or maybe I know their Ethereum address. So I could look like a top of the most verified persons. For this, we have like an utility token called KRB, which is not really like a monetary value, but it's a ERC20, but it's mintable, which means it burns and it mints and burns. So it will the supply will always keep on growing and reducing based on if the credentials are being issued or revoked, etc. So let me try to expand a little bit more on that. So let's see, for example, this identity here. So this is, we see this identity, we know the DID, know their Ethereum address. And what we can tell about this DID is that, well, they already have some KRBs, so that means they already have had some verifications on chain. So what credentials have they verified? 2 credentials. For example, they are older than 18 years, and they have 1 verification. And they have some other claim for their full name, is encrypted in their DID, but no one has verified it yet. And for the one that has verified, so okay, so who verified this? This was a claim that is a ceramic document, so we can explore that claim, which is one of the schemas that we have. Right, what happened here? No, it's not the link. So and some other identity to this. Okay, so maybe I want to see who the issuer is. Okay, the issuer is another identity that should have more than 100 KRBs. Sure why it's not showing them of KRBs, but the issuers have like a minimum balance of KRBs that they can, so that they can start find other users. That's one of like the reasons why having a token is so that we can like find what is the minimum verifications that someone can become an issuer.
Can I ask a
Yeah.
quick question, Hilarious? I don't want to. If you just want to keep rolling, that's fine. But I just had a quick question about the Krebs and the trust percentage.
Sure. So I'm getting there. So the idea is that so you could check like if you want to rely on this token for knowing that these credentials are actually verified, you can and use this token, but it's not necessary because the actual credential is also stored in ceramic. I can load some of the credentials I've created before. We'll create a new one. So this kind of the trust and the stake, like using this token as a way for issuers, like to make sure that the issuers are only creating credentials or signing credentials, like putting some stake on it. So, for example, if someone disputes this credential, which is possible, and the DAO behind the token votes that this credential is not valid for some reason, and the staking tokens from the issuer will be burnt. So that's kind of like if you are an issuer, you're putting your signature, and you are also putting some stake to your balance. That's like the idea behind this. If you're an issuer and you're staking 7K bits, but you don't trust the information that the person provided to you enough, so you will not stake all of it. That's kind of like the reasoning behind this. But you know, the chain part mostly optional, like specific to Credit. Like I would like to discuss more with you guys, like the open data models part, which will be shared by many apps, ideally, right? So this is how a profile will, like this is like a public profile. So how do I build a profile of my own? So I will go have another user. So this other user will connect. They have like, I'm not entirely convinced that everyone should have a MetaMask. So I also implemented like a lightweight wallet here in the browser, like local. You know, to show people that I'm not having people install an extension, etc. So this is just a simple storage wallet. And well, I tried to put some information about, okay, this is loading your DIDs from self-ID, and it's also creating a mailbox using ThreadDB. So that's why I call it a encrypted mailbox. So this is someone that, you know, in their public profile, they really want to be anonymous, and the actual information that they want to verify is what we're calling claims. Just for example, check claims this profile has. So for example, this one has one claim called that his name is Satoshi Nakamoto. Okay, so he has not had any verifications. Maybe he wants to also verify his ID. I don't know, number, issuing date. Okay. This is, and you know, part of the branding, and I think that's one of the questions I think we should ask is like, what is the best name to call this profile? And I'm calling it like self ID. Past, I like to, I was calling it IDX. I think those are like good brands to call this. I don't know how you guys are calling this, like in the UI. Okay, so say that this file has created these claims, and these claims, let me go to the GitHub a little bit. Because I want to start talking about like the reasoning behind the data models. So the claim that we just created is this claim credential data model. So this is mostly what you will see in the credential subject, verified for a verifiable credential. This is what we created here. So we have a type, and we have a type schema.
Can you
We
pause
have the
a second on
Sure.
that list there?
Yes.
Yeah, on the type, to see what is already thinkable and doable.
Of course.
Awesome. So, and then what is the difference between the type and the type schema?
So I was thinking, okay, so because the idea is to, I mean, it's great. We can have smart documents and schemas in Ceramic, but if we want to register this on chain, it's harder to alter the schema after it is registered on chain. So that's why, and it's also like you have to have a set schema before you register it on chain. So it's leaving this field schema and just the value for easier registration in the blockchain. So you maybe when you see the contract here, let me open up also the contract. Contract has some types. So you see here in the contract, we have a structure for the credential subject. That has the type schema here. So the idea is that this same credential subject, I could store all kinds of claims. So maybe this claim, so you saw, for example, legal name is just a string, but the national ID also has like the issuance date and the number, the country. So every claim has a different schema. At the end, we want to, I wanted to register that into the blockchain. That's why I'm leaving like the schema open for you to put any schema address here. It could be Ceramic, it could be HTTPA, whatever. And then you will use this to register any schema.
That makes sense. Thanks.
Reasoning. Okay, cool. Right. So far we have just created some claim credentials documents for this DID, and the ones that are encrypted have a JWE encrypted to this same DID. The ones that are public have like the plain JSON in this value field. So that's like the difference between these two type of claims. For example, maybe I want to create a public claim for an email or something like. I want this to be public, so I can also do that. So if you see right now, this is very manual. Like this is initial thought for humans, human issuers, instead of like something like identity link. But that was like my next step, like try to use all of these to plug it into identity link. I'll come to that later. Okay, so let's say that this profile wants to get verified. So what they will do is they will explore like a marketplace of issuers. These issuers are other profiles that already have more than 100 ERSBs, and this minimum is controlled by the contract and can be changed by the governance of that contract. And we can have like different kinds of issuers. We can have some charging for it, some of them free. When I want to request verification, what I will do is send an encrypted message. This is sent in ThreadDB. This DID, and what I will have to do ideally is, example, I want to get my name and national ID verified. I will have to attach some kind of evidence. So this, it will be possible to do this online. But a better way that I was thinking is that maybe creating some kind of like POEP events where or Bright ID kind of meetups where We will do this online, so you don't have to, maybe you don't trust that this is going to be encrypted inside Amic. Maybe you don't want to attach your document, so maybe this could be done in person instead of sending an image. But let's say that we're sending this image as an evidence, and that is being, again, this is being encrypted and sent to ThreadDB. And then as an issuer, this is not issuer. Give me 1 second. Is the issuer? Yes. So this issuer has a mailbox as well, and they got this verification request. So when, as an issuer, I get the request, and I see, it's decrypted, and I see they want these two things verified. Okay, so let's say that I'm a good issuer, and I try to verify this by some means, and then I am sure of this, and I will sign this. So I could set an expiration date. Maybe this is like a good practice, maybe someone, to prevent that, people will start verifying stuff and then selling the IDs. Maybe that's possible. But we want to not having a lot of time for the credentials. Then maybe I don't trust this a lot. I don't want to stake a lot of their business because I don't really know this person. So I will sign. What is this? I got disconnected. Okay. So this is being signed using EIP of Central. We can actually see the content here before signing. So maybe someone wants to make sure all of this is what they want to sign. And then when I sign, and you can see that I'm trying to use here the same schema defined, but the draft, although it's not very easy to map, the add context arise on the type. For example, in Solidity, you cannot name a variable called type. That's why I'm trying to parse the Solidity compatible types. Okay, so I'm signing this, and this is being signed, and this is being sent again in reply to the user. They will get it back. And at this point, I just got the credential back, but it's not registered on change. So, for example, I could copy these, and I could see the JSON export version of the credential in the format of the EIP Central draft. Maybe here will be better. You could see here, this is like exported. We will see here. So you see here, I'm having like a type schema. It's just a URL for details on this particular claim. Okay, so now I'm ready to register this on chain. So I'm the user will have to register on chain, and I'm the one who's going to get charged the gas. And maybe if some issuers want to also charge, they could also charge. And here I can get just okay, how much ARBs will I get registering this? This will be like my reward for registering. Then I will confirm the transaction, and that's the actual thing that's going to register. maybe I want to check it in until it's confirmed. What else can I show you? So once this is complete, then I could go, anybody could query like this ID to see I'm having some verifications. And these verifications shown here are actually coming from a subgraph. Someone could, or some app could actually look for the claim in ceramic and actually get the verifiable credential document, and the signature is here somewhere. You see the proof value is in there, and this is in ceramic as well. You don't need the blockchain to verify this. You just need verifiable credential that is also in ceramic. And the only thing that some other person will need to verify this is that, for example, if the users have encrypted the value in ceramic by some trusted, secure channel, and they will have to decrypt that value for the app that is going to verify themselves. So the other function that the contract is performing is they are verifying for people. You don't have to verify yourself. So now it's registered. It should start coming into the.
So I actually have a question regarding the encryption. Is your app's DID also in the recipients?
No, the app is not in the recipients.
Okay, because there was someone that was claiming that his name was Sakoshi Nakamoto. Okay, you got it. It was Nakamoto, and then the verifier was able to see the full name.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how
the
was that
verifier was
possible?
able to see that, because that was possible because when the request verification was sent using ThreadDB just for the verifier, we were unencrypting the message, the value, before sending it as an encrypted ThreadDB message. That's why I was saying, even if you use ThreadDB or you use any other mean,
okay,
the user needs to unencrypt the value for the issuer, otherwise, or for any other verifier. Otherwise, it's not possible to verify the value.
Alaris, I got a question. So, because I'm not as familiar with ThreadDB, I'm familiar with it, but I didn't actually use it. So, how exactly what scheme are you using to decrypt it, or is it something that's kind of built in with ThreadDB? Are you sending like a AES key or something like that?
Question. So ThreadDB provides some mailboxes, and the way you access ThreadDB is using, I always forget the name, ED 2559 519. So this, I actually have one more schema for this, but I didn't add it to the pull request yet because I think this should be a separate data model just for I also wasn't sure if there's already a ceramic schema for this. So that's why I didn't.
I think ceramic uses actually ED 25519 as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So some nice improvement I was thinking is maybe reusing the same ED 25519 key in ceramic instead of creating a new one for the ThreadDB. Will give like even more reusable data for the users, but I'm not sure yet how to do that. Yes.
Right. Yeah, because that's what I was gonna ask. Because I was thinking about that. Because I've not in this context, but in a similar context, I ran into an issue where it would be nice to use the ED 25519 signature scheme because Ceramic uses that, but like on chain, they actually use the ECDSA for like EVM. So this is a little bit different because it seems like ThreadDB can use the same thing, but yeah, so you'd have to use, if you're going to use Ceramic, you need to use their ED 25519 schema. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not really sure. I mean, I created this ED schema, but I'm not sure if this is the best one. So
Okay.
that's why I haven't submitted it yet. Maybe we can come up with something.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Okay, so we can maybe check. Okay, so this is the one that was just verified. No. Is this? Okay. One we just verified 6 minutes ago. Yeah. Oh, why does it say 1 day ago? Maybe I have something wrong there. So let's see if this we can see. Why we cannot see here? This. Goodbye. Sure. It's working. It's a demo, dangerous demo. But you are familiar with documents, so you could see any ceramic in here. Oh, no, the name is wrong.
Seems like the link leads to like an address or something.
It's yes. This is wrong. Okay, I need to fix that.
You can inspect the ceramic URI there and copy it from the console.
Okay, let me see.
Just inspect like the HTML element.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if it was here
in the data. I see.
in an easier way. An ID stream ceramic ID. Okay, so this is the one for the claim credential, and then maybe we can see one for the verifiable credential. Must be here as well. So this is the claim ID. I think I messed up something because the ID used to be the ceramic ID. I must have done something in my last change.
That is also another question I had for you. On the contract level, what are you storing? Are those the ceramic stream IDs of the credentials?
Yeah, so let's look at the subgraph. We can query the queries. Right. So for example, in the last So we are storing this ID is a hash that is created. Is the hash after define the type data in the contract. But somewhere here is the ceramic ID. Claim ID, credential subject ID. This is the ceramic ID. No, wait.
So that's the DID of the subject. So it's the person.
Yes. Maybe I'm not wording it here. Claim ID. Oh, yeah. Claim ID. Claim ID is the ceramic ID for the claim ID, for the credential subject part. And then there is, so let's go to the data model. So that's the claim credential, right? So the claim credential is something that you claim, but it's not yet verified. And then from the issuer, you get back. And he also stores that. So for example, I'm as an issuer. The issuer. As an issuer, I have a list like what I have issued. This is also stored in ceramic on the verifiable credential schema. This is the schema that resembles something similar to the WC3C schema. This is the one that has the proof, for example. So this is after you sign. This is signed by the issuer that you will store this one. You will create this one. And then there's another data model that is the one that has the definition for each DID, which is the array of the things that I have claimed and all the things that I have issued. I was looking at the comments of the PR, and yeah, I mean, all of this is open for discussion. So I don't know if
Yep.
that's what I got so far. So maybe we can open up for some discussion.
This makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. Thanks a lot for the demo of Crebit and illustrating how you are actually using those data models in a DApp. So the credential registry is owned by the DApp and not a user. Is that right?
No, this is for each user. So I will know what I have claimed and what I have issued.
Okay, I see. And then to know if a credential has been verified, you are checking for each user if there's like a match on another user.
No, I'm not using ceramic to query if a claim has been verified or not. I'm using it for each user to have a list of, but actually that's a step you could have. So for example, on each claim, you also have this array. Maybe when I get the credential back from the issuer, so let's say, for example, I got this back. No. I got this credential back from the issuer. Maybe I need another option here. One option is registered on chain. Another option should be saved to my ceramic, like that. Save to my ceramic. If I click save to my ceramic, then in my claim document, I will add this signed credential here. So someone could query my claim and there will be an array of everybody who has tested for this claim. So that way you don't need the blockchain to verify or to query verifications.
Yeah.
Did it drop?
Yeah, that's fine. It's just Maxwell that left the call, I think. Maybe it was a bit too technical for him.
Oh, okay.
So, okay, this makes sense. And let's say in the case of our project, so we have issuers that are Web3 projects, like Gitcoin and whatever. When the users are gonna complete quests, then they are gonna actually create a claim credential, because at that point no one would have verified that they completed the quest besides them, and then when let's say Gitcoin reviews the result of a quest, if they approve the result, then they would actually create a verifiable credential.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And yeah, then we would need to match for each user. Has this been approved? Has a verifiable credential been created? Yeah. So what you had in mind, Jamie, was not only having that possible, but also maybe our app being able to issue credentials.
Yeah, so I kind of had it to where the project basically for right now they have a switch and a Boolean flag that can basically say whether they want the stream ID that's associated with the project, whether they want to be able to verify it, which I figured would be more manual processes, like somebody completes a hackathon or does a bug bounty or something that's on their GitHub, or completes a capstone course or boot camp that they're providing, whatever it might be. That would be something they would want to take over. But there might be more mundane, like automated code challenges and quizzes that they don't even want to deal with. Possibly they might, but they might not, and then they could put that flag for those quests to be where we would just have the ability to sign for the credential. If that makes sense.
Yeah, even if we verify the credential, because like it's programmatically verified, if the answers of the quiz are right, then yes, you did it. So maybe we can also verify with it, and the message of the verification, we can put the name of the project, so it's kind of like if we were verifying on their behalf.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that seems like it could work. Yeah, I know that there might be some projects that they just want it to be kind of taken over. They don't even want to deal with it after they, maybe just check in every so often. But we could programmatically verify it for them. So as long as that capability is there, I feel like that would be it.
Yeah, I was thinking something similar, like to import from Bright ID or POAP, or mostly from Bright ID. Like, yeah, you will be issuing a credential that some other issuer already verified, something like that. Similar.
Right. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky because you got to give like key permission, like especially if you're talking about encrypted stuff, like some things aren't sensitive, so it doesn't matter really. Like if you complete a quiz, most people won't care about that, but there may be other things that obviously they'd want to be encrypted. Well, now I have to you got to make sure that you only give access to the correct people. Those people can decrypt. I guess ThreadD help with that a little bit. You could kind of redirect it to where the decrypting key goes to where it needs to.
Do you know if there's a revocation mechanism with like the encryption?
Well, I implemented a revocation. So, for example, here, the ones that are issued by me, where was the revocation? It's like, so broke it. Here, here's a button to revoke. And then that also goes into, but this time the issuer needs to register it on chain. So it gets effective on chain. But yeah, I also have that implemented here.
Yeah, I was more talking about like
The schema?
no, for example, when you sent the message to be to have the claim verified by the other party, you've decrypted the message, right? No, does is that message decrypted basically forever, or the user can actually edit the data and decide to yeah, not be
Right.
decrypted anymore for that
Exactly.
verifiable.
So that's also why, you know, at the beginning, I was thinking to use the anchor commit ceramic as the key, because I thought like that was like would not be modified later, because you could get
Right.
verified and then you could go and change value, right? So
Yeah.
that's also what the key for this like the ID is the hash of all the type data, so that really what is giving this claim status of this is the credential status, is the registration in the on-chain. So the credential status. So that's why I also think that like registering this on-chain with all the values is important. And I mean, if it's encrypted, just a hash of the value, because otherwise, yeah, someone could change the value. But even if someone changed the value, you could also have like the JSON. Where is
The JWS,
the
JSON Web Signature.
yes, you could get a proof. That's what the proof is for. So even if someone changes the ceramic value, you will have to go to the verifiable credential and verify with the proof in that value. I mean, that's what it's for. So in any case, I mean, on-chain or off-chain, if you have access to this verifiable credential schema, you can always verify the signature is the value that was sent or not.
Right. Awesome. Yeah, I think we might start trying this those data model in our app. The other question I had is like regarding interoperability. Would you prefer everyone using like the same definitions, or should we just use the same schema and every app has different definitions so that the credentials are not shared across all apps?
Well, I think it would be nice to have some reviews, maybe be able to import, export easily between apps, or read. I mean, one way is sharing the definitions. Another way is creating on another data model with different definitions. I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't have it clear right now. That's for discussion. You guys think?
Yeah,
And I know in the ideal world, all of this should be shared if the users want to share, right?
right.
So
All
we're
right.
starting to see the benefit of that, in the house profiles. I don't have to create a new profile. It's already there for me. Orbeez. So I think this is going to be really cool once there are more apps.
Yep.
Now, one question, Hilarious, I had, and I'm not sure if you addressed this, but so let's say, for instance, I wanted to, I make a claim. I couldn't remember if you addressed this or not, but like, I've got a claim, and do I have to like specifically, like in the sense of an app like that we're using it will know who to send it to if it's something like a quest, but some of these claims, it seems like multiple people could attest to it. So just a more general question is like, do you have to actually specifically send to somebody's mailbox, or like blast it out if there's 10 people who could actually verify that some type of information? Do you just send it to all 10 and put like a obviously as more people do it, it gets a higher stake? Or is it just kind of like, is there an ability for somebody who wants to claim, or somebody who claims that they can verify it, you just kind of post it publicly, and somebody who claims they can verify it can come along and do it kind of asynchronously?
Yeah, let me see if I understand your question. So the
The
reason
over 18
behind
and something like that, or nationality. Let's say I want to do like over 18. There might be 50 people, from my school teachers to my parents to whatever, that are or are you sending this like to a DMV organization, or well, you probably don't call it DMV another place, but basically the motor vehicles. Do you have to send like in other words, what I'm wondering is like, I know there's a CREB system, so are you just kind of eventually going to use a dispute system and the credit coins to kind of take care of like people who are doing false claims, people who shouldn't? Like, if somebody posts it and then I go and say, yeah, that person's older than 18, but they're really 16, and I just go do it. Obviously, we're relying on the stake, and eventually somebody could dispute it, right? But I was just curious, like the flow there. Do you have to like
right.
manually send it out to everybody to their mailbox that you think could verify it, and then they get a certain portion of the stake, or is it kind of they can come and make a claim, and then it's an optimistic process and somebody can dispute it? I was just kind of curious what you had in mind there.
Yeah. Those are good questions. So what I'm thinking is this could scale. So the role of the DAO will be fundamentally for the disputes. So anybody could, for example, if I see this claim, someone is claiming that they are me, right, or they have my email address. Maybe go here and I will dispute this, and this will create a new proposal in the DAO. Maybe I will attach some evidence, and then the DAO will vote based on that evidence, and based on the result, that Credential will be revoked or disputed, and revoked. And then the number of verifications will also be like a further measure of, okay, one person verified this. Maybe I don't trust one person. I want to trust like a group, and I will, for example, every time I go to some meetup with different people, I would try to get as much verifications as possible. And that way my profile is getting stronger and stronger, because I have more and more people verifying that this is my profile. And I don't have to share again to a lot of applications my ID every time. They just need, like, for example, if you are an application with strong requirements for being older than 18, then you will say, okay, I like that you have 1 verifications, but in my app, I need at least 3 verifications that you're older than 18 from 3 different people. So that's kind of like the system of using this token for that. Maybe you have 1 verification, but for this verification, you only have 2 KRB. So that doesn't give me a lot of trust. Maybe I want to see more verifications with a lot of KRB in there. Then I will trust. This is really something that the community agrees.
Because the more that's at stake, the more incentive for the DAO to come and if it's a incorrect claim, that's kind of the idea, is that tokenomics or the incentive is much stronger. So if they had a bunch of verifications, in addition to that, they had a bunch of CREB staked, I can trust it more so than obviously 1 verification with hardly any CREB staked. That's kind of the idea.
Yeah. So yeah, those are very good questions. I guess we'll find out.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Another question I had is regarding open source. Is your project open source? How are you building this right now?
Sure. So I started this as a Gitcoin grant. So the idea of the Gitcoin grant, at least, is to have most of it open. So what have I opened so far? I have opened the contracts, and the subgraph, this little library for signing the applications using the proper EIP schema. So you will give here the contract domain, and you will get you will define the basic credential things, and it will give you the full compliant schema, quote, because this is a draft and it's not exactly like that, but that will be like the idea. So this is also open, and the data models, of course. The DApp, I would like to open it up a little bit more. Actually, I would like to expand this library to include some more tooling, like in a single step creating the claims, in a single step verifying them, in a single step registering, etc. But to be honest, my code is still not as good as what I would like to polish. So that's why the DApp itself, I don't have it open yet, but I can show you real quick. I mean, this is a React app, but I have here a folder. This is called utils. I have some utils like to query the graph, like the common queries, like the ceramic, well, it's not this. What is useful here?
I see.
Yeah, like
do you have
the
any
small things?
Okay, sorry.
I could add those to this library right here.
I see. And do you have any centralized server?
Ideally, no. So actually, when I first started this, my first prototype was in Firebase, and then I learned about ceramic, and then I completely switched to ceramic IPFS. Doing the deployments, the deployment itself is using Flick. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yep.
So it's in IPFS. What is central here? The only central thing the only central thing is this ceramic clay, but that's also a network. So what else? I'm not relying on anything central here that I know of. Just the endpoints for the graph. So I'm using the central graph version, but they already have the
Right, you can migrate to the mainnet.
the other version. Yes. Ideally, everything is decentralized.
This is awesome.
That's the idea. Yeah, I haven't opened up the app because, to be honest, I'm not the greatest JavaScript developer, so code is not that nice.
No, I thought it looked good. I mean, it's obviously a demo, so there's going to always be some demo bugs, and the demo gods aren't always going to shine on you. But no, I think it's good. I did have a quick question about the subgraph. Yeah, I don't know if you've looked into it more, but I know when they first migrated to mainnet, you know, there was a problem with some of the smaller apps. Like basically, if you're something like Uniswap, you know, you're going to have a ton of nodes, you know, providing for your subgraph. But if you were a smaller, less used dApp, the tokenomics initially was kind of like you would have a subgraph, but you'd basically have to go back and centralize it. So I just didn't know if you had discussed with the graph people if that's gotten better, or is it kind of still the same? If not,
yeah, no, I mean for the graph, the decentralized version, you need to pay with GRT tokens
right,
for your data to be indexed. So that's also why I'm convinced that this decentralized registry must be a DAO with a vault, and there has to be like a fee. Really, I was implementing the fee, like as an issuer, I can charge, but the DAO should get a fee because the DAO will have to go and pay and buy GRT tokens to pay for this, and
right,
also pay for the ENS domain, pay for if we want to aggregate Web2 credentials or reputation into this model, we'll have to pay for chain link token as well. I mean, this needs to be a marketplace, and people will need to pay for this because there's a lot of costs. Keep it decentralized.
right. Yeah, that's something I've kind of thought about. I tried with, you know, so one thing I've looked into a couple months ago, and I still have looked into it's, you know, like something like True Blocks, which is kind of a nice indexer, but obviously there's no market for it. So, you know, you can archive the results on IPFS, but, you know, obviously there's no like built-in indexer. So that's where the graph is nice. Then if you're a smaller app, it's like how much are you going to have to, you know, obviously as you get bigger you can kind of amortize that cost over 100,000 users. It's nothing, but as I said, X, that's one thing I've kind of just thought about philosophically is as we use, if we want to use the graph but yet you don't have a ton of users early on, it might be kind of you know, now if you've got a war chest from, you know, a Gitcoin grant or something, subsidize it for a little bit, I guess. Bad, but obviously eventually you have to have some type of business model that will be able to take over, which I guess if it grows, if it's growing and more users, as I said, you can kind of spread it out. So I guess that's kind of the hope.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was hoping. So that's exactly why I put it as a Gitcoin grant, and those initial money that has been put there, that's what I'm planning to use, like to get some audit on the contracts, and then once move to some mainnet, buy the tokens or to the infrastructure. So yeah, the GRT, and paying for the Flick. Like Flick is free, but if you really want to scale, they also charge.
Right.
The same with IPFS. I mean, not using IPFS directly, but I don't know. I don't remember if I'm using Piñata or Infura. They also charge, or if you use Firecon or something. So there's always going to be some costs. So that's why this cannot be free. So
Right. And that makes sense. And yeah, Pinata pins on AWS for now, but they, I think, moved to where Filecoin deals. But yeah, I mean, once you move over a certain amount of a few gigabytes, they start charging. So for sure. So which makes sense. So Okay, cool. Yeah, I was just kind of, that's something I've always got in the back of my mind is the economics, especially pre-scaling and then after it hopefully scales. How do we handle
Yeah,
some
I
of
was
that business
actually
side?
thinking about like the DAO itself releasing some NFTs, trying to do like some NFT based voting model. Just looking at the house recently, I haven't still checked, but I think they do have that ability. I still need to learn some more about this. I was like mainly focused at this point. I was mainly focused on actually open up all this code, trying to have these discussions with you guys, get some more feedback, etc. So I think that's
Right, that's your main focus.
really appreciate this time.
That makes sense. Yeah. Well, definitely looks really good, and I don't know if Callie's got anything else, but I know I've got a lot to chew over and think about, and I'm sure I'll be kicking some questions as they arise in the chats.
Yeah, I also need to learn some more about your project. I mean, I watched previous meetings demos. I think I kind of understand the use case. I'm not sure if you already have like a
I'll be
test
back in a
app.
sec. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so ours is still pretty early, as well. So we just did a very limited alpha. So we're still in progress and getting some things, but we're eventually looking pretty soon probably to start integrating. Right now, the only thing we've got is kind of like approving projects. So like the app is approving the projects, and that's fine because before a project can even like exist, it's gonna have to register with the app. But then the next step we're heading toward, and we've got that as far as their sub pathways as well. But eventually, what we're heading toward is the projects could essentially, like, obviously they're gonna kind of be like autonomous if they want to be, and we're trying to have some modular, badge modular NFTs and stuff. But the idea would be eventually use something like what Credit's doing to be able to verify, their claims. So instead of in your case the claim is over 18, nationality and all that important stuff for like proof of personhood and different things like that, ours is going to be more around like proof of completing
Work.
right, proof of work, exactly, proof of actual work, not like Bitcoin work, but like proof of actual work in the DAO and proof of completing. We've got some quote unquote quests that look like rabbit hole style. But that's just kind of a beginning. That's really not where the aim is to just do a bunch of quests like rabbit hole. The idea would be eventually to do like proof of work for the DAO, starting with Gitcoin, of course, being the main one, but eventually branching out to other protocols and projects and DAOs to where proof of completed work, proof of bounties, proof of skill set, proof of boot camp completion. I mean, it could be a lot of things in the educational realm and skills realm, in particular, would be kind of the idea. And something like what you're doing is going to be is kind of right in line. I feel like, at least, I can't speak for Callie or anybody else, but I feel like it's really closely aligned with what we're trying to do with our ceramic. And eventually the idea would be is to even have an NFT DID kind of owned by the user, to where they could just kind of aggregate all their skills in one spot. So like the user could go to an employee or a project or a DAO, and like when the DAOs are like, hey, what skill set does this guy have? Ideally, now you would have something verifiable, so it would DAOs to be like, okay, we know where to plug this guy or this girl into, kind of like that. That would eventually be the idea. So you could, from the project side, people who have completed your skill sets and can reward them or whatever. But also from the user side, you would have verifiable data that you could go and use to other DAOs or stuff. So that's kind of the long-term plan.
Nice. That's gonna be awesome when we get there. So
Yeah.
I really like the approach that about these data models, repository, and like the data itself. Like in my experience, or companies, I always, if you have a good data model, you are good for the future. So making sure that the data model is like uh, flexible, but also like good foundation. I think if we agree on that, and this early stage, then it's going to be much easier to do anything in the future. So I think this group, that's why I was very excited about this group, because I really think this is going to be key. Like we can create any kind of apps and marketplaces and whatever, and in the data model is shareable, we are very good.
Yep. Yeah, that's definitely going to be big to for composability and interoperability and all that stuff.
Right.
No,
Cool.
that sounds really good.
I got some feedback from the ceramic guys about the schema. I'm going to apply those things that they have recommended, and then maybe we can start playing with it.
Yeah,
Once they
as
approve
soon
the
as
PR.
yeah, even if it's not approved, as soon as like you made the changes to have like one data model, um, yeah, I will just install the dependency and add it in our dApp and just play with it. And I'll let you know if I run into any issue.
Cool. That will be awesome. Okay.
Other than that, how can we engage with the Crebit DAO? Is there a Discord or a website?
Yeah, I have a Discord. So I don't have a full team right now. I have a separate team where we are working on some NFT project. I'm kind of taking credit under my work for now. So I don't have a large team. It's me for the moment. So I'm in the ceramic Discord. I'm in this Discord, and I do have a credit Discord. I think we can keep discussing on this ceramic skills credential chat
Okay.
we have.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. I was just wondering, like, where were you at right now? Cool.
Yep.
Cool. Just out of curiosity, not that it matters, and if you can't, if it's private, but what's kind of the NFT project you're working on? Is like in-game NFT, gaming NFT, or generative
No,
art, or
it's trying to do the same thing. So so again, reason why I'm working so much on credit is because I do believe that decentralized anti-civil or know your customer, it's key, because otherwise everything that you build is going to always be centralized, because it's going to be full of bots. So I did feel the pain in GitHub campaign, because there's a lot of bots still, even if, and they have a lot of entry points, but there is still a lot of bots. So I think solving the identity will help for many use cases. And the NFT space right now has a lot of censorship. In OpenSea, there's a huge big part for you to create your collections. This is your connections. So there's no clear governance still in those marketplaces. So that the project I have is plugging in Credit as the identity verification for an NFT marketplace. It's just another marketplace. So nothing special about the marketplace itself, other than using ceramic for some stuff.
okay, cool.
Guys, we really
Well,
appreciate it.
yeah.
How is the recording of this access? Is that something terrible?
So, sorry, the recording?
Yeah.
I will post it like probably 1 hour after the call.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, yeah. I
So,
share that with some other groups.
all right. Thank you for your time today, Alarius, and yeah, thank you for the other participant. We were not much, but yeah, it's recorded, so anyone can check it later on. Really
Okay,
looking
thanks for having
forward
me.
to use the data model you created.